Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we're going to try out No Man's Sky and see if it's any different from back when it first released. Now, full transparency, I never did play it the first time around. It came out, I figured I'd give it a week or two and see how it went, and everyone and their mother seemed to absolutely hate it at that point in time. So I thought, well, what is the point in even giving it a test run just yet? But recently, new patches, I've started noticing people talking about it and being almost 100% positive. And since I've been finding myself really enjoying base building and a couple other games, I thought, well, let's give it a shot. So, let's see how this goes.
Commencing aide system suit initialization. Life support systems activated.
Well, it doesn't seem to really waste much time just going ahead and dropping you right in the thick of things. Although, from what I understand, this first planet's always set up to be kind of mild. That way it's not that bad to deal with. Only thing is,
Aerial propulsion.
I have zero clue what I'm doing in any way, shape, or form. So, I guess we get to figure it out as we go together.
Operational. User initialization sequence complete.
Alright, so just to be completely clear, this is my first playthrough of this at all. So I'm mostly going to be just messing around. So I'll leave a little bit of this footage in here at the beginning, but I am just going to kind of start jumping around. I've got over 3 hours worth of recordings to play around with and decide by the end of that whether or not I'm going to continue messing around with No Man's Sky. But we'll see. This is interesting so far. I kind of like the whole little mining gun thing. And it seems like, from what I can tell, the resources have a decent amount of overlap in terms of what they do and don't handle. But, I don't know. At this point, I'm just kind of destroying shit, seeing what happens. Well, apparently I managed to do something, so I guess now we've got to repair the scanner. See if we can figure out how to do that at all. Okay, well, I mean, I guess we select the big flashing icon. Now, this point is when it occurs to me that this is going to be one of those games where the way they adapt the PC controls to a console is just basically give you a mouse cursor. Not something I'm particularly fond of, but there's worse systems out there. It's better that than compromising on what you can do on the consoles, although, I don't know, there's been a couple games have done a really good job figuring out how to translate their controls from PC to console. And so far I've not really seen anything in this that suggests to me that it's so complicated that it really needs to have the cursor thing. But, I mean, hell, what? I'm not even 10 minutes in, so kind of out of my place to be critical just yet. Alright, so I guess this means we can farm things from plants just as easily as we can from rocks and whatnot. Good to know. So, harvest everything. In other words, we need to try to turn every single planet into a planetary city. Actually, I do have a couple questions at this point about things that haven't really been super clearly answered, even at the end of where I've been playing. Like, one of those is, now, I can't do it just yet, because on this run, I think I'm just now getting ready to open it up. But what happens if at the beginning of your being dumped on a planet, you just start mining straight down and you have plenty of reserves on you so you can keep refilling your beam? Like, how long at that point would it take to actually mine to the complete opposite side of the planet? How long would it take to actually mine away an entire planet with just the beam? These are questions that I need to know the answer to, but I'm not 100% certain that I actually want to Google the answer or just find a really small planet and try it out myself. I don't know. I know the answer's probably out there, but I've been kind of doing a limited amount of research going into this just to get that sort of fresh experience. And I guess that would be my future ship. All right, so let's see what happens now that we've sort of hit this marker. Okay. I don't really have any idea what an Atlas pass is. Oh, there's the thing I'm supposed to be checking. Okay, well, that tells me nothing. So I guess now we're going to figure out what we need to do to fix the ship. So let's see what the game's going to tell us to actually have some sort of objective. From what I understand, as long as you're inside somewhere, you're safe from things like storms, whether that's a hole in the ground, inside the ship, or, here's the thing I'm most curious about, inside the base that you actually build. Now, I have no idea how long it's going to take me to actually get to the point where I build a base, but that is actually the thing that I am the number one most interested in. Oh, hermetic seal. Yeah, that shouldn't be too terribly hard to just find randomly laying around on a planet in outer space. But let's see what we can do. Alright, so we've been walking for a little while, and at this point, I'm just curious what all I can do. So start looking through the inventory, and click over and notice something. Apparently, to craft some basic stuff, you just click into your inventory and then click the button to make the ones that you want. Well, that's good to know, and I'm glad that it was very clearly pointed out somewhere in one of the tutorials. So now let's keep walking and hunt down the things that we need still. Like to go on back to the starship and repair the pulse engine. Not gonna lie, so far the gameplay loop is just not really drawing me in all that much. I've heard fantastic things that it gets really, really good, so I'm assuming this one's one that's going to take a little while to get into. So I'm just going to dig around for a little bit, and let's jump a little ways ahead. Okay, so we've jumped a little bit forward, and we're actually getting ready to make a repair onto our multi-tool that actually makes this way more interesting. And that is the analysis visor. So now we can actually start gathering information on all the plants and animals that we run into and the minerals. This actually adds in a layer that I enjoy, cataloging just different creatures on different planets. And by training, by education, I'm a biologist. And yeah, that's a video game, it's fake, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that still doesn't mean it doesn't appeal to the sort of intrinsic interest in life forms. Even if they are artificial, this just sort of appeals to that discovery side of things that you kind of like, that draws you into sciences. This also seems to replicate real life science is way, way slower than this is, but it does replicate that general loop of go out, look at something, walk around a little bit more, look at something again, and then just keep looking. That's a huge amount of science, realistically. It's just continuing to watch things for extended periods of time and try to figure out what's happening that you're seeing. So, let's skip a little time a little bit. Alright, back of the ship. Let's repair the pulse engine. So, the way repairs work in this, you just click, then it tells you something else to highlight and click, and it's like, okay, cool, whatever. It's not really all that engaging. I don't know. Am I missing something? Is there something about this that's supposed to be hyper engaging that's just not clicking in my head? Or are other people sort of stuck with the same stuff? Alright, so I need some pure ferrite, which means I need to make a portable refiner and get some metal plating, which I can do the metal plating right now. I wonder how much of it I actually need. I can't remember, but portable refiner. This is one thing I will say, and I know this already. How easy it is to just drop a structure down and then pick it back up and move on with it is pretty fun in this. Although I feel like, and I hate to constantly compare things that I play like this to Power World, but I feel like Power World basically took their system for dismantling and just picking your stuff back up and then made it even faster. So, I don't know. This is not a terrible game. It's just so far it's pretty slow paced. So is it a slow burn style game where once you've invested about 10 or 15 hours into it, things really start picking up? I don't know. Like I said, I've heard really good things about it from people that I trust that normally, like not YouTube people, from personalities, people that I actually know that have at least somewhat similar interesting games to me. Have said that it is actually a really good game. So either I'm going to have to stop trusting their opinion, which, nah, they've recommended good stuff to me before, or I'm going to have to keep pushing forward. Alright, so ship's repaired, let's take off. See what happens. I wonder what unit measurement it's using for speed, because it's U per second. So I guess units per second? I don't know. An interesting little gauge though. Oh cool, look, there's my character name as well. Yeah. So all the little displays actually do tell you something relatively important. Just so we're clear on what's going on, I have not noticed the screen message that says to actually tap down until this moment in time. Alright, so to summarize, we were basically told, hey, you're not alone, come to this location. I'm not really sure why my character at this point would still think they're alone. They have literally been exploring planets and seeing aliens. So the natural assumption at that point would be there's probably some other intelligent life out there somewhere. Now, let's hope I can continue to remember the button that will actually let me land in the future. It's giving me the prompt right now, but no, I'm going to forget that. Either way, this looks pretty cool. And 162.3 Fahrenheit. Sound about the mid 70s Celsius, so pretty hot. So we should expect that a lot of the stuff here would be akin to cave bacteria, right? I don't think that's realistically what's going to happen, but I don't know, kind of a cool idea having a planet that's actually relatively hot. I do like the variety of visuals. I'm used to playing games that are mostly pretty simple color palettes, so this actually has a really pretty aesthetic to it. Like while it may not be the absolutely most fast-paced game, the actual visuals to it are really nice. And it's not exactly like it's hard to follow along with what it seems to want you to do, but I don't know what my overarching point is. I actually have thought about it quite a bit, and I think that's the reason why I've ended up enjoying Pal World so much, is while it's survival and it has the whole creature catching thing, which are both pretty fun in their own respects, it also actually gives me pretty clear objectives with the boss towers. Even though there's not really a solid story in the game, at least yet, it actually gives me a clear, okay, I need to go do this, then this one, and so there's an A to B, B to C, C to D, blah, 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 that type of stuff. Um, this may be just a relic in my mind from my age, where as I was growing up, non-linear games just basically didn't exist until, let's see, the first really open world games that I can remember coming out were the Grand Theft Auto games. And realistically, the very first one that was actually really open was 3 and then Vice City, which I actually spent a decent amount of time playing Vice City. So those are the first ones I can remember where you really had decent control over where you went. And of course, stuff like Skyrim and whatnot started popping up, and I know there were other Elder Scrolls games before that point, and there were games that I just hadn't played because they didn't appeal to me for one reason or another. But to be honest, a lot of them were Western RPGs, and I was still kind of sore at those having an effect on the direction they decided to take Final Fantasy, so I ignored a lot of them longer than I really should have. Anyway, the lack of direction generally bothers me, and that might legitimately be the nostalgia part of me. I don't know. I know other people my age that really enjoy fully open world games. I really like having some sort of A to B style point in terms of telling me where I need to go and what I want to do to achieve another objective. With really, really broadly open games, I tend to sort of start getting lost in the weeds at a certain point. Alright, so we finally get to do some large-scale mining, rather than just mining up a few minor resources. Now, as I'm starting to figure out, this is actually going to be a metal that's relatively important. Not necessarily just copper, but the metals that you can use to establish a base. And this is also the type of mining that I was curious about when I talked earlier about, can you just drive your way straight through the bottom of a planet and then pop out the other side? I'll be honest, I may have to boot the game up and try that out here in just a moment. But this is also the first time where I'm going to actually establish a base. So let's see what happens. Out of curiosity, if you do happen to land on a planet someone else has claimed, does it stop you from actually making a base there? Because from what I understand, there's virtually unlimited number of planets in this game, and the odds that you actually just accidentally land on a planet that someone else has actually grabbed is pretty slim. However, this is the point where I think things start getting just a little bit more interesting. Because now I have what I need to actually start constructing a base, to actually establish something that can be mine to pop back to. Alright, so this construction menu, not exactly all that super different. It does seem pretty cool in terms of how this stuff actually clicks together pretty well, although I'm starting to notice that things are just overlapping in a way that's not very good. And so now I'm kind of struggling to try to figure out how to erase stuff, which not terribly difficult to do. But I'm also not really taking the approaching storm as seriously as I probably should. So I'm thinking, okay, I've got plenty of resources. Let me just drop a whole bunch of floors down here. We'll start out with a massive base. And that's just not going to happen. Realistically, I'm not paying too much attention to the amount of resources this is consuming. And while I'll go ahead and mention that I am actually really legitimately interested in starting to kind of construct bases in this game, I will say it consumes a metric ton of resources to build almost anything. Now, I'm sure this will be like any other survival game where over time you'll actually gain a little bit of an ability to farm resources up. But right now, in the middle of a storm with lack of protection, I'm kind of starting to feel the pressure to farm up some stuff and just make whatever shelter I can manage. Just to be clear, I genuinely didn't know that if you came over and talked to the computer that you could let the storm and stuff pass in the background and not really be bothered all that much by whatever was happening. Now, there's a couple ways to sort of glitch your way past a storm if you need to. That's something I've come to understand now, but at that time, I genuinely didn't know. It was just an incidental thing. But now we can continue the fun part. So we went out and farmed up a little bit of carbon, and let's see how many walls we can manage to construct before we run out of resources. I do kind of like how these things actually have that kind of futuristic look to them. But we're going to have to get used to the controls for this. I'm still too Pal Worldified, but nice door. I guess we don't need more than one. We'll just switch to regular walls at this point and drop a few in place. And holy shit, it consumes resources, because I actually spent quite a bit of time gathering up carbon. Wild guess, I assume at some point gathering those types of resources becomes significantly faster, and so you can actually spend a little bit of time on base building if you want to. But, man, that was kind of disappointing. Granted, I also hadn't learned about how to really properly manipulate your laser just yet. So to keep it near 100% and then just hop from target to target. But I don't know. Let's farm some stuff up and do a little bit more construction. Let's see what we can come up with now. How many more walls can we build, or do we just want to pop a roof on real fast? And I guess, okay. Getting that to set into the right spot's not that easy. Looks nice though. Good and curvy. Yeah, there is a lot of heat here. Really need to get my hazard protection back in order. Let's, guess, drop down some walls. I think what I decided to do at this point is take a few walls and a few pieces apart and just make myself a little room to at least get my hazard protection up with. That way, in the meantime, while I expand the building, I have a safe zone to kind of hide in. So, boom, boom, boom. And apparently you don't need the full fourth wall to actually conceal it out, but I want it. So there we go. And let's run back inside.
Temperature levels stabilizing.
Yeah, even though you can very clearly see through that little opening in the door, which realistically, just now watching this playback, I'm realizing is glass. You do get your hazard protection recharged, so be a lot safer to mine up some more resources and work on the base. Yeah, so we've been farming, but then a firestorm come along. And this is a point where I realized something kind of fun. The jetpack works really well in a firestorm. Ah, well, let's hop inside the shelter and just ride this out. And another fun fact that I finally realized I should take advantage of is summoning my ship over here to the base. Since this is going to be a base, I might as well just drop it down right over here. That way we have it right next door. And yeah, I've dropped a few more walls, but I haven't actually finished building it yet in the most remote sense at all. Yeah. Call the ship in, and then it gets here really fast, because to be honest with you, I don't have any idea how far away it was. Alright, so I went full attention deficit for a little while there and dropped down a couple more structures here at the base and wandered around the planet for a solid hour. And now, finally, my only objective really for this video, I'm going to finish just a very basic base. And I do mean very basic. Did the curved ceilings last time. Let's try this one this time and see what the difference is. I genuinely couldn't tell you what the different types of roofs are for. If anyone has any tips on how to get stuff to align, snap it to while you're standing beneath it, seems like there's got to be a trick to it. I just keep having trouble trying to get that last piece to click in there. And part of me wants to insist that I have to find a way to get it to click in from below. But it doesn't seem to want to happen. So just hop up here and do it the easy way. And voila, the now much wider base is actually built. So go in and take down this little extra room right here. And our very first base is built, even with a wall that actually has some windows on it, which I'm not 100% certain how I did that or which walls I selected to do that. But this is a good little start, and we've got a little teleporter out there that will let us, as I'll eventually find out, connect to other planets. Yeah, the end of this has jumped quite a bit ahead. However, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video here because, number one, I'm not 100% certain that this is actually super entertaining, but I'm having a little bit of fun with the base construction. So what I might do is just spend a couple hours in the game and try and actually build a decent base out and bring it back and show you guys that whole construction process, how we expand this one out to make it into a much more interesting base. Other than that, I don't know, I may farm up fuel on one of these little planets and see if we can dig straight through the bottom to the other side. Just see what happens if we try. I'm sure it's terrible things and it's probably a terrible idea. Might end up bricking my save file, but we'll find out. Either way, that's going to be it for No Man's Sky for the night. If you guys are interested in seeing more, let me know. Otherwise, next videos that are sort of lined up, I've probably got enough footage to do another good episode in the Pal World series, so we'll pop the hard mode Pal World stuff out. I am going to put up a short book review, so 5 to 10 minutes on my impressions so far of the absolute DC comics, which I've only really read a good chunk of 2 of them, but we'll see how those are appealing to me so far. And I'm working on reading my way through a much bigger book that will make a good full review. I'm not going to talk about which one just yet. As well as working on getting the little book review, book discussion podcast going with my wife. So plenty of project ideas in the works in addition to any of the stuff that pops up with Monster Hunter. I'm still going to continue to pop Monster Hunter up here as things come out. It was the first game that I really did on the channel, and I do enjoy it, even if it's not exactly in the healthiest place at the moment. So it'll continue to be a primary feature of the channel. Anyway, you all have a good night, and remember, if I can beat it, so can you.